Hello, my friend, and welcome. This is the Back to Me podcast, and I am Heather, and I am super excited that you are here. And I just want to let you know that you're going to hear some tips and some tricks, some ideas, all to help you live your happiest and healthiest life. It is called Back to Me because when you are taking care of yourself, then you can take better care of others. And my goal is to make the world a better place. This is Wellness Your Way. I am really happy that you're here. Your true self is waiting. So it is time to step up and thrive. Ta-da! Hello, my friend. So guess what? This is episode 200. Yes, 200. So I know you're thinking, Heather, who's your guest today? And what are we going to talk about today? But today we're going to talk about episode 200 because quite often we have these milestones, we have these things that we do in our lives, and they're important, but we downplay the importance of these things because we think, oh no, somebody else has done more than me, or, oh, it wasn't that big a deal. But it is a big deal. 200 episodes is a lot of information. It's a lot of things that have happened. It's a lot of conversations. And when I started the podcast, as with a lot of things that I do, I wasn't completely clear. I knew I wanted to have a podcast. I knew I wanted to help people. I knew I wanted to share information. And as I went through the podcast and I talked to more people and I had to explain it to more people, it became clearer and clearer what the podcast was for. So there's a coach that I know who I won't get his quote right, but it's something about, action creates clarity. Maybe that is the exact quote. Action creates clarity. So often when we're first starting on doing something, it's not completely clear. I know there are people who can have complete clarity and make it happen, but I'm talking in general. It's not always completely clear what's going to happen or what we're going to do or what the plan is. We know our general direction. We're going to go this way. And as we're going that way, we start to figure it out. So as I was explaining the podcast to people, I realized the podcast actually had 3 purposes. Now, the number one purpose has always been you, my listener, absolutely 100%. Because the podcast is for you. It's for you to hear ideas, have resources, have new ideas, listen to conversations that might spark an idea for you to help you. This is my whole goal of existence, to help you raise your vibration, feel better, find new ways of being that will, if I help you raise your vibration, then it's going to raise the vibration of the people around you, and we're going to change the planet for the better. But then I also realized that it also had 2 other purposes. Another purpose was all of these people that I've been talking to are amazing human beings. And I know I say that a lot on the podcast, but they really are. They are super interesting people. I have met such interesting people that I never would have met if I didn't have this podcast. And, there was the psychic, there was the sexual fantasy expert. I've talked to people about all of the ways that they help other people feel better, nutrition experts, financial experts, psychologists, therapists, so many people. It's mind-blowing, actually, when I think back of all the people that I've talked to. Since we are about to enter season 4 in a couple of weeks, actually. We're going to enter season 4. And that's 3 years of really fascinating people. And I realized that the podcast was also for them because I know from my experience as a coach that sometimes it's hard to get your message out there. You're standing out there going, I want to help. I want to help. And sometimes people don't hear you. There's a lot of noise online. There's a lot of noise in the world. There's a lot of distractions, scrolling. People scroll so fast. Sometimes I watch them on the bus. How can they see what's going by? It's going by so fast, but somehow they do. And so I wanted to be able to give them a platform to help them. because I know that if I help them, they're going to help people. And then those people that they help, see the domino effect, they're going to help those people. And then that vibration raises. So there's that, the second reason. And the third thing that I realized was a podcast is also for me. And I didn't realize this for a long time. And you can think, oh, Heather, come on, you're a business. But it's not in the business kind of way, because the podcast is not my business. My business is helping people. My business is helping people find better ways of living, better ways of being, happier ways of being that they may not have realized or thought of or encountered. I've traveled many roads in my life, as if you've gone back and listened to any of the episodes, and I drop in here and there, kind of my life path. So I've lived many lives, and I've learned a few things along the way. I don't think the learning is ever done, truly. And I don't want the learning to ever be done, because I feel like if I'm ever done, then what else is there to do? Maybe that's when I check out. When I take back my rental body, there's a coach that I know who says your body is just like your rental car and you're here on vacation. So when you're done vacation, you take your rental car back and you go home. So when I'm done learning all the things I need to learn, I'll take my rental body back. It's been a great body. Don't get me wrong. I could keep it for ages and ages. But when I'm done, I'll take it back and I'll go home. Whatever your idea of that place is. Where was I going? Oh yes. So my my purpose here is to keep learning and to keep helping with all of the information that I gather and all of the resources. Like, think about that. 3 years of talking to people. I have talked to so many people who've had so many great ideas and so many ways to help. Now, sometimes when I'm talking to even people on my podcast, I say, oh, you should talk to that person, or you should talk to that person, because I feel like part of what my mission is not to do all the doing. I don't have the capacity to do all the doing. And if you know human design at all, and that's okay if you don't, but if you know human design, I'm a projector, which means I really don't have the capacity to do everything. I don't have the stamina or the staying power. People think I'm super energetic, and I am, but I also need a lot of rest. And I honor that because I do get a lot of rest. I love talking about sleep, as you know, if you've listened to the podcast. And I'm a big champion of sleep. So the third reason for the podcast was for me, because every time I talk to someone, even goes back to yoga. You approach things with a beginner's mind. Even if you are a seasoned practitioner, you always try to approach everything with a beginner's mind. Because if you approach things with I know all the answers, then you won't ever see any new answers. So when I'm having conversations with these people, even if we're in the same mode of operation, even if we're in the same careers, even if we coach the same people, they have something different that I don't have, or haven't experienced, or haven't learned. And I mean, conversely, I have things that they might not have thought of. So when I'm talking to them, I love when they blow my mind, because that really gets me excited. I get to learn something new, something like, oh, wow, that's brilliant. That's a brilliant way of thinking about that. And I'll tuck that away in my little toolbox for later. So the podcast has been it's not a labor. It's like, people say, oh, it's a labor of love. It's not. It's just, I really like doing it. And when I really like doing things, I just like doing them. So this is episode number 200. 200 episodes. And I have talked to lots and lots of people. And let me tell you, I have people booked into the calendar to talk to me far into the new year. This is, what day is it? The 4th of November. I have people I have interviewed that are in the pipeline that are just so interesting. There's such interesting conversations coming your way. And I want to keep doing this as long as I can. I don't see why I would have to stop. But at the same time, I want to be able to make sure that it's useful. So I've been up-leveling and finding new fascinating guests to talk to. And thinking about the topics that are important. And of course, I know what's important to me. Thriving is important to me. Being physically healthy. So I'm going to talk momentarily about, the program that I love running, which is, I actually got my trademark recently. Let's give a little cheer out for that. I got my trademark, and it's called the Thriving Life Method. What a great trademark. Oh my goodness. But you know that I talk about this a lot, and I encourage my guests to talk about one of those categories. Are you physically healthy? How are you feeling? I just was talking to someone recently, actually, like half an hour ago. I was talking to someone who, she's healthy, but she's feeling really tense today. And the reason she's feeling tense is the energy around her, because she happens to be in the US and it happens to be a US election happening. So we were talking about ways to shift that energy and just kind of ride through it. So one of the things that I find is we've got this interesting dynamic going on in North America anyway, of the don't worry, be happy, everything's fine, what are you so upset about, just get over it. And we're downplaying the actual need for the negative emotions that happen. So I've just jumped. Sorry about that. I was talking about physical health. So how are you feeling physically? Yes. And it's never too late or too early to start taking care of your rental body, right? I've done some things to my body, and I call it life experience of the body. But look, for those of you who remember that I broke my wrist, this hand is working great again. I did a lot of work on it, and that's okay. The second thing I like to talk about is your emotional health, and this is where I was going with the don't worry, be happy is, your emotional health doesn't mean you have to be happy all the time, because that's not practical. And I don't know that that's desirable. Emotions serve a purpose. We came down here to talk about, to experience all of the alls, feel all the feels. Sometimes the feels we feel are not ones we want to feel, we think. When we go back upstairs, home, wherever, to the stratosphere, we might go, wow, wasn't that cool? Even though at the time when we're going through it, it feels crappy. And if we've reached a certain age, we've all gone through some crap. Like, let's be serious. Come on. But that doesn't mean you stay in the crap. You need to have those things happen. You probably don't want them to last very long. But an interesting thing to do is to let them run their course, and don't try to stop them. Don't try to cut them off. Don't try to shove them down. See, so this is a meditation practice. I know some people are like, oh, I can't meditate. Oh my God, are you kidding me? But really, all it is being observant. Detach yourself from whatever's going on, and just see if you can observe it without any judging. That's an easy way to do it. So when I'm feeling the feels, and I sometimes can't do it, I'll be honest, sometimes I can't do it. But when I'm feeling the feels, I try to sit, feel it. When I feel it, I get so much tension in my stomach. Oh my gosh, one time, it was actually at the beginning of COVID. I'm going to tell you this story. At the beginning of COVID, when it all just bust out onto the scene and I suddenly couldn't work, and I was having some serious anxiety. And people think, Heather, you are not, yeah, I have anxiety. And the pain in my stomach was so bad that I went to the doctor, because I thought there was something wrong with me. I was a healthcare practitioner. I was a massage therapist. I knew what all the body parts were, and I knew how they worked. And I knew that sometimes that's a danger, because you're like, oh my God, I have cancer. No, that wasn't what it was. It was the most intense stress and anxiety I'd ever felt, and it manifested in the physical form in my abdomen. And I thought that there was something wrong with me. And I actually went and got an ultrasound. Now, Did I enjoy that time? Absolutely, I did not. I wouldn't want to do it again. But it did bring realization to me of areas of my brain, the way I was thinking, that were not in my best good. So all these emotions are to bring things to your attention. So it brought to my attention my fear of losing something. And that doesn't even have to be something well defined. Like I just felt like, oh my goodness, I'm losing something. And you feel that need to grab on to everything, right? So I can even feel it now if I think about it. Exhale. So what I tried to do was deep breathing and just watch it. Just sit and watch the thing. Don't give myself a hard time about it. That's not going to help you. You would never scold a little kid for crying because they were tired or hungry or uncomfortable. You comfort them, right? So I comforted myself and I reassured myself and I talked about it with Brad, my partner, and eventually it goes away. And then you go back to your regular state. So your emotional health is, how do you feel on an ongoing basis? If I had stayed in that and kept that, I would have felt all the time anxious and anxious and anxious and ill and unhappy. And that would have really made me close in, which is not, it's not a good way of being. Think about your community, your relationships, who you surround yourself with. Believe it or not, you can choose who surrounds you. And people will say, I can't. Yes, you can. I know people who have divorced their families because they felt they were toxic to them. And I know people who have divorced partners because they were toxic to them. You know, as people talk about estrangement from family members, from children. I know clients who have had to change. They enjoyed their jobs, but they changed jobs because the environment was toxic. And we can talk about, and if you go back in history, we talk about this all the time. Oh, the economy is not a good time for fill in the blank. If you subscribe to that, I can't do something because the timing is not right, then you will never change anything because you can always come up with an excuse of why the timing's not right. You know, it's too close to the holidays. Nobody's buying right now. Nobody's selling right now. Nobody's hiring right now. I'm too old. I'm too young. I don't have enough skill. I have too much skill. The economy is bad. The economy is too good. It's like anytime you want an excuse, they're easy to find, but stop making them, please. If you're not happy, if the people around you aren't supporting you and lifting you up and making you feel better and you're a cheerleader, then there's some imbalance in the reciprocity of your relationship. You can be giving, but you should also be receiving to some degree, as much over time in equal measure, right? Then you think about your occupation. Even if you're retired, you know, you do things. People like to feel useful. It's one of our charming things. We like to feel useful. Brad delivers food for the food bank on his bicycle for 5 days a week, whenever he can. And it makes him happy and it lights him up. So it can be volunteer work. It doesn't have to be a job. It doesn't have to be a business. But what you do should do that thing. It should make you happy. I like helping people feel better. My partner here, Brad, he likes delivering food for people because they're so thankful when he delivers the food. He feels he's helping them. You know, some people I know are really good at design, and one of my friends has set up this beautiful shop full of all these really interesting things, you know, paintings and clothes and decorative things. And she's just really good at that. That's what she's really good at. You walk in the store and you can tell it's curated, and that makes her really happy and excited. Some people love being police officers. Some people love growing gardens. Some people love singing. Don't apologize or make excuses for what you love doing. know that what you love doing is a reason that you are doing it. And just keep doing it, because that's going to make you happy, and that's going to make you healthier. See how all these things tie together? You want to make sure you're financially stable. I know, oh, this, oh, that. There's lots of ups and downs through life. And I was having an interesting thought this morning. We actually do have a storage locker. And I feel sometimes I give myself a hard time about that. And it's because of when we had the yoga studio and we had to move and we just didn't have time. And yeah, look, I can come up with excuses too. Oh my God, did you see that? I just came up with some really good reasons why I have a storage locker. But when you think about it, how much do you need? I was listening to, not Krishna Das. His name just left my head. I'll come back to it. A friend of Krishna Das. he was talking about the simpler your needs, the happier you are. And one of the lines was, what a person needs is food and shelter and companionship. And the more complicated you make your life with needs, the more difficult it is to be peaceful and happy. And you think, what's that got to do with a storage locker? Well, a storage locker is a storage of, if you think emotional baggage, sometimes I think storage lockers are places where we store our emotional baggage in physical form. Or sometimes memories. Yes, it doesn't have to be baggage, memories. But what are we afraid of, that we need a physical, material thing to remind us of something? Are we afraid we're going to lose our minds? I mean, I know it does happen, but when it does happen, you're not going to remember that you don't remember. So no stress, right? So think about, financial. Am I doing things that am I keeping things? Am I spending on things that aren't really serving me? Maybe, maybe not. But it's a contemplation. And of course, the last one I like to talk about is your spiritual, well, I call it engagement. Engagement with the reason that you are here, your passion, your purpose, your spiritual health. What really do you feel like you were meant to do? And I do believe that everybody is here for some reason. And it doesn't have to be Hollywood worthy. It doesn't have to be with exploding cars and, chase scenes and the good guys and the bad guys. It doesn't have to be the hero's journey of, oh, I was lost and then I was found and now I'm epic and I can fly, but maybe you can. Sometimes I feel like we compare ourselves so often to the very small percentage of people who are social media influencers, movie stars, like they have it all together. And that's what we should all aspire to. Being famous, being rich, having it all. But do those people really have it all? I mean, Kate Spade committed suicide. A person who has it all does not commit suicide. That's so sad. A person who has everything they want doesn't live tragic drama on the cover of the National Enquirer or have these mental breakdowns or addictions. A person who is happy and has it all together knows what the reason is that they're here, and they're happy in doing that. And I mean, I use the example of gardens because my grandfather had a beautiful garden. And he built beautiful furniture just because he wanted to. He didn't sell it. He built it for us or his grandkids. He built it. He just built what he wanted. And he puttered away and enjoyed himself after he retired, just doing what he wanted to do. And sometimes we don't find it until later because, as I was saying at the beginning of the podcast, you start out on your journey in a direction and you think you know where you're going, and then it evolves as you walk along, right? So if you had asked me in my 20s if what my life purpose was, I might not have been able to answer you, right? I had no idea. because I was still being heavily influenced by all of the expectations around me. I'm supposed to get a career. I'm supposed to go to university. I'm supposed to get a big job with money and cars and homes. And when I had them, I questioned whether that was really, is that right? It didn't feel right. It didn't feel like that was really the all that it was supposed to be for me. That doesn't mean that I would say it's not for someone else, because everybody's got their own reason for being. Everybody has their own reason for being here. Even people we don't like. Or that we wish would go away. So I laugh because I can, people pop into my head, but I don't want to name names. So when you think about life and you think about pausing to celebrate, it takes some serious time to celebrate. And we're coming near to the end of the year. And I find this is the time that people often say, hey, am I where I want to be? Am I happy? Am I doing what I want to be doing? New Year's people always say, I'm going to go to the gym 7 days a week and get into awesome shape. But they don't ever stop to wonder why. Why do you want to do that? Is it because you want to be on a magazine cover, or you want to look like a magazine cover? Or is it because you want to feel better? And really, if you want to do something different, instead of throwing spaghetti at the wall and seeing what sticks, how about you make a plan, right? Think about what you actually want. You can think about those 6 areas. I use those 6 areas. They spell the word become, by the way. One of my favorite things is acronyms: body, emotions, community, occupation, money, and engagement. I missed a number there, but if you were watching the video, you're like, how did you get to 7? I skipped a finger. So just think about those things. And if you do start to work on something, you're like, Heather, I'm inspired. I'm going to work on fill in the blank. Do not try to work on them all at once. Just pick one. Just pick one, because you don't want to overwhelm yourself. Overwhelm is the thing that will immediately put the brakes on everything, and you will get nowhere. It's like when you hit overwhelm, you're stuck in the mud and you need a tow truck to pull you out. So don't get stuck in the mud. Keep rolling along slowly but surely, and we won't get stuck, right? Now, what was I going to say? Yes, episode 300, no, 200. 200? Yes, it's 200, not 300, not yet. Soon we'll be at 300. I'm celebrating. I want you to celebrate. And I want to let you know that stuff that I was just talking about and taking you through really briefly, there's a pre-recorded version of a course that I've been testing coming out by the end of this year. I'm not going to put a date on it because I don't want to overwhelm myself. But before the end of the year, watch your announcements, watch Instagram, watch Facebook, watch the podcast, whatever you watch. Sign up for the email list if you want. I don't send emails super often, like once a week. I'm not going to overload you. Right now, it hasn't even been once a week. But if you want to know when it's coming out and you just want to see the information, sign up for the email list. That's the easiest thing. And what I really want for you is today, I want you to think about something that you're super excited about in your own life. Something that makes you happy whenever you think about it. Something you're looking forward to. Something that when you think about it, you just feel lighter. And I want you to bask in that feeling. Doesn't matter what it is. Don't judge what it is. I just want you to bask in that feeling, which is your vibration of that feel-good feeling. And then I want you to stay there and breathe. And that's all. You can let me know how it goes, though. Thank you, my friend. That's enough for today. Go out and party. Have a fabulous day. Come back next week because I'm talking to another amazing human being. Take care, and I will talk to you soon. Hello, my friend. I hope you enjoyed that episode. And if you found it useful and you're like me and you want to help others, please share this, comment, like, subscribe, all of those things that will help this podcast to be found by more people. And if you found it useful, there's a chance that someone else will find it useful as well. If you ever have any questions, I am here to answer your questions. I would love to help you. My direct email address is info@heatherstewart.coach. You can also find me at heatherstewart.coach. And if you go over to my website, you will find copies of the podcast. You'll find the link to my Instagram and my Facebook. And I do have a personal request because I do want to help as many people as I can with these podcasts. So if you could give me a review, and my friend, I would love if you gave me a good one. If you could share this, if you could send it out into the world, I would truly appreciate it. I hope that you have an amazing day. I hope that you are finding your way back to wellness by getting back to me. Take care, my friend. Be well, and we will see you again next time.